Hey guys, welcome to the Miracosta podcast. I'm Kim.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Tim.
And yeah, here we go. So what are some upcoming movies that are coming out?
Well, there's the New Mutants trailer, The King with Henry V. There's Knives Out. Lady and the Tramp got a new trailer, I believe.
Wait, is that going to be another Disney live action remake?
Dumbo
Yep.
2.0 with fur texture this time.
Oh, God.
Right.
Adopt a Highway looks interesting. Peter Rabbit 2. Stardog and Astro Cat, that's a strange one, but could be fun. Portals, not the game. Doctor Sleep, that one looks pretty good.
I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah, I've never seen The Shining, but I'm still kind of interested to see that one just on its premise.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
The Good Liar, seen a little bit of that. Do you know what it's about?
The what?
The Good Liar.
No, I haven't.
Okay, that one, I think that's Warner Brother that's doing that one. Zombieland 2, that one looks pretty good. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, you know, the Mr. Rogers movie.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one.
That one looks good. Ford versus Ferrari, Cars 4.
They're coming out with a Cars 4.
No, I mean just like that Ford versus Ferrari is kind of like Cars 4 in a sense. Like the prequel that started it all.
Right.
The Lighthouse, that one looks original.
It looks fantastic. I might actually see it today.
And then
now that I think about it.
Last Christmas.
I give you my
Yeah,
heart.
I want to see that. It looks funny.
Yeah, I just hope that. Oh, and the Aeronauts. That one. Do you know what that's about?
Aeronauts?
Yeah.
I haven't even heard of it before you mentioned it today.
It's okay. I don't think it's one of those movies where it's based on a true story, mainly because it didn't have so at the end. But it's a story about this guy who, it's like the turn of the 17th century or 18th century, and he's in England, and pretty much he wants to be like a weatherman, and there's, these hot air balloons. So he decides one day to, go with this girl who's also interested in weather to, see how high they can go. But it's kind of like an Icarus thing where they go too high and the valve to let I think the gas of the air out gets frozen, so then they get stuck up there.
Oops.
Yeah. So that one, I think has some things going for it. I just wonder how much they can do in, a confined space, because they're in a basket. I mean, there's some movies where it's just a person sitting in a chair, and that's just like a whole 3 hours or something. But there's usually a lot of external forces and, a big cast, in a sense, behind it to kind of push through. I'm not sure. What do you two think?
I have no thoughts. Jessica?
I have no thoughts either.
All right. Next topic. Disney Plus.
I think it's interesting. It's really kind of frustrating to know that now I have another streaming service that I'm probably going to have to pay a subscription for. Yeah. Or not that I know of if you have to have a paid subscription for it anyway, but we can all assume that we're going to have to pay for a subscription.
Yeah, intensely.
And especially if it's Disney, they're going to jack up the shit out of the prices.
After the first 3 months, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous.
It seems like Disney is probably going to be pulling all of their movies and property off of the streaming services like Netflix because of that.
Definitely. And on top of that too, have you ever seen so you know how Pixar does the shorts before their movies?
Yeah.
One of the reasons why, if you look online, why certain VHS tapes of Beauty and the Beast or Cinderella are worth so much money is they have a short in one edition of the tape that you can't find anywhere else. And if those shorts for the, Disney animation studios, if those are on there, that's gonna decimate those, that whole market in a sense.
Really?
Yeah, because there's have you ever seen Fantasia?
Yeah.
Do you know the Ave Maria?
Ave Maria, yeah.
That's
the very last one that takes place after Bald Mountain.
I believe that's why the Beauty and the Beast VHS cost so much, is because there was a limited edition where they had the full one of that, the full cut of that on there before the movie. and Fantasia only has a part. That's why.
Really?
Yeah, it only has a part, I believe, and that's why the VHS is so sought after, because that's like the only full version. And the problem with the VHS, the more you watch it, the more, skips and tears there are in the film.
Yeah.
So, those would just go up in price as it goes along. But if Disney, pulls out Ave Maria or something like that, that's going to be pretty big for them too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I just wonder if they're going to put their controversial stuff on there also.
And of course, I'm sure everyone's kicking themselves now, even me, for getting rid of all of their VHS movies. Think of how much those might actually be worth nowadays.
It depends on the market and condition, but even still, there's buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of buyers, anyone buying into Phase 4 of the Marvel movies?
I'm not really doing any hardcore research or whatever. I'm not really following them avidly or whatever. I'm just waiting for the movies to come out and I'll see it. I think the movies are really cool. I don't mind seeing them. I'm just not as obsessed about them as most people probably are. I'm just along for the ride. I don't particularly care other than that. I'm a fan. I just, I'm just like whatever. I'll wait till it comes out.
Personally, the one I'm most interested in is the Eternals one, just because I know nothing about it. Just in a sense of seeing something new for the first time. What If could also be interesting. The series where it's what if there was the reverse snap, or what if it was She-Hulk instead of the regular Hulk in the first movie, or what if the Fantastic Four were in Endgame, weird things like that. And then at the very end, apparently they're working on a Fantastic Four and a possible X-Men movie, but I'm not sure about the X-Men one.
Yeah, I heard that the X-Men movies are now dead in the ground or whatever.
Yeah, Fox-wise, yeah.
Yeah. Or is someone else working on purchasing the rights for them?
I'm pretty sure Disney, since they own Fox, they're just going to let Fox do what they want.
Yeah.
But I did hear they're trying to get Hugh Jackman back to play Wolverine.
Really?
Yeah, and, since they got Downey back, and he said he was sick of the role after a while, but since they got him back, I'm guessing they can get Jackman. It's not that far-fetched. He loved the role. There is also the upcoming DC movies, not to go too far superhero. Aquaman 2, I think that one probably has the most goodwill under its belt.
Okay.
The Black Adam movie, I didn't see Shazam. Did either of you two do?
I have no idea.
I think Birds of Prey, the Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
I think that one also has a good amount of kind of motivation under it. The Wonder Woman 1984. That one's gonna be.
I know next to nothing about that.
Yeah. If that's gonna be another war movie, that would be pretty interesting. But
I don't think it's gonna be another war movie. I think the movie, that movie takes place in the 80s or 90s, and let me guess. Kristen Wiig is set to play Cheetah, one of the villains in there, and then. What's his face? Oberyn Martell dude from Game of Thrones is set to play the main villain in there.
Ooh, kind of diving off of that. Did you hear that the writers for Star Wars 9 quit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
That is.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah. It was one of those things where.
Because they totally gave up on directing the last season or whatever. They kind of just totally threw the last season to the winds or whatever because they were so focused on Star Wars, right?
Yeah. And for them now to kind of quit that, I mean, that's going to be a dangerous movie because apparently they're still filming. Is that right? They're still filming the Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Disney's, I think, panicking a little bit internally just because they already released the trailer. Normally what they would do is they just delay it until it's okay, we're done filming, and then they, show the trailer off, but they wanted to be on time, punctual. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting release for Disney.
Yeah, so another interesting tidbit about Game of Thrones in general is that I was on Instagram and I saw 2 posts and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? First post I see is that a prequel has been greenlit, and then the next post I see is that a prequel has been killed. So I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Because the last thing that I heard of is that they were working on 5 prequel or whatever, 5 Game of Thrones spin-offs. So I don't know if this is the same one that they're talking about, that these 2 posts I came across are talking about, or if they're 2 separate entities. One has been greenlit and another one has been killed. I don't know what's going on there. So something I also kind of want to bring up, there's the subject of white savior movies, which if you've seen The Green Book, which starred Mahershala Ali and then Viggo Mortensen, really fantastic movie. And along with the movie The Help, I read an article a few months back about these 2 movies in particular that bring up a very, very interesting topic, and it was the topic of white savior movies. So basically, these kinds of movies are movies that are centered around hardships and issues that the African American community usually face, and it's serious issues that the Black community faces. But in these movies, there's always a seemingly white character who kind of is mostly kind of like there to save the day in a sense.
I have the perfect example.
So basically, this kind of comes along, in my opinion, along the lines of making new material that's specifically dedicated to having a very diverse cast when in terms of both race or gender in general. Instead of remaking and recasting old material and old roles, and why don't we actually start writing new and original material dedicated to having a very diverse cast?
There's a movie from Warner Brothers, I believe, called Mercy, where it's this lawyer, this African American lawyer who's trying to save these people on death row. And majority of them,
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, a majority of them are African American. And you were talking about the white savior. Now, in that movie, he's trying to help a law firm that's failing there too. And like the woman there is a white woman. It is based on a true story, though. That's the kind of difference a little bit about it. But it does seem that like most of the time, whenever there is like, I almost want to say like a white black mix. It's like you either have white guy, black guy, you have a white woman. It's more of the time a white woman, black guy trying to overcome a difference.
And somehow the white character manages to kind of steal the show.
I would say in a sense, or they're there in a token aspect too. I mean, that's what made the Anchorman movie the second one so strange, is they had this concept of him trying to start a relationship with another anchor, and the comedy. That's the thing about comedies, is you can kind of get away with a lot of stuff like that more. But
yeah,
when you have a family interaction, racially, that's probably one of the more tense situations a person could have. Meeting the in-laws and something like that, and I just don't see that many movies pulling off some type of grounding or realism in that factor of like, having a first tense meeting. It's either, hey, how are you doing? Or get away from me type of mentality. And it's just, I don't know.
In a sense, people of color, for example, might not be afforded that many opportunities because I think so many roles are usually made possibly with more white actors in mind or something. So I think in order to fix that problem, I think it would be best if if someone writes a script specifically with more people of non-white race or whatever.
I think that one of the reasons why Black Panther did so well was it was a movie where the main character, pretty much always, to my knowledge, has always been black. So then when you have a movie where the character is intended to play that role, it's almost like you have a, I don't want to say an advantage, but it's like you have like a feel for the character in a sense when those match up. And like one of the things about Aladdin that I think kind of like drove people off a bit wasn't necessarily the recasting as much as it was, okay, is this actually accurate? Because, okay, looking at Aladdin and looking at Disney, they do caricatures a lot. They do stereotype a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And to look at Aladdin as that's probably like one of the most famous stories out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like by far. And to look at it, is it actually accurate for, you know, not to say the time it takes place because it's vague, but to say, you know, does it work? Like, you know, historically wise? And I think that's what actually drove a lot of people off, was it might not have been that accurate to what they thought was accurate. Have you ever heard of the rated G, where it's if a movie becomes G or, no, PG, that's what it is. Or if a movie becomes PG, it's either not PG-13 where there's blood and it's entertaining, and it's not G to where you can sell it, it's just mix. Or
I've never heard of that, no.
It's I think it was originally called the dreaded G, and then they changed it to PG, where it's like if a movie gets PG, it's very hard to market or very hard to, you know, get people interested in.
Really?
Yeah, mainly because there's like normally like I think a PG movie can have one curse word or something like that. Yeah. And then like or you know, some violence but no blood. But what's more interesting is just that would you say nowadays that there's more rated M movies or more like R movies?
R?
Yeah. I think kind of M is getting phased out a bit, not much, but just, or it's shrinking. And
yeah, I rarely ever hear or find a rated M movie nowadays.
Yeah, just because they're kind of commonplace now.
And honestly, off the top of my head, I can't even think of any M-rated movies right now.
No, like I could think of ones from the 80s, but none recently. I mean, there was, I think that Uber movie, or what it was called, the World War II one with the Nazi zombies or something like that. That one I think was M. But when you're having like the rating system, you know, it's to keep people safe, or you know, to kind of to lull expectations or to, you know, match them. But I think M really has not represented this stuff well, because when you're going into an M-rated movie, you're expecting a lot, and then when you're going into an 18 movie, you're kind of expecting more, but you're kind of given a little bit less. You're given like, you know, much more mature topics, but then the actual amount of stuff in there can be toned down. Now, violence-wise or sex-wise, that differs from movie to movie, but you know, there's other topics too than just, you know, gore and sex and violence that make a movie, you know, kind of, those are the main ones, but there are other topics too, like very controversial issues.
Yeah.
So there hasn't been a lot of shrink movies versus giant movies, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids versus Honey, I Blew Up the Baby. Do you know what I mean? Like literal
sized characters?
Size movies. Yeah, like, and for a while that was a, you know, kind of thing that started with the 50-foot woman, and then I think that actually did peak with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and, you know, movies like that, like the Shrink Ray effect.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of those, like, 50s-esque sci-fi, and I think that's mainly Universal that's kind of in that ballpark where they haven't made stuff. Oh, Kong. That's the big thing.
Oh, okay. Kong. Yeah, or what about the Godzilla one that recently came out? King of Monsters? Yeah, I still haven't seen it. It looks fantastic. I really want to see it too.
Those are like the big exceptions, but yeah, you don't see many monster movies nowadays that aren't pure horror. That's another thing too. Yeah. Pure horror.
I didn't even see didn't Dwayne Johnson make an adaptation of Rampage?
Okay, that one.
I loved that game when I was younger. I love that game.
I need to see that movie because that's one of those things where I know just enough about the game to where I can honestly critique. I could feel like I could critique it,
Yeah.
And I didn't hear bad things about it. That's the other thing too. Like normally,
I don't think I did either.
When you see a movie, you know in the first week before it's out if it's good or bad, or from the silence if it's bad. But I didn't really hear that much negative stuff about it. I mean, the only thing that's different is the gorilla's a different color because they didn't want a Kong debacle like kind of like what Nintendo had.
Yeah.
But I think that's fine. Just they have the main three characters in there.
Yeah.
And what I think is interesting is in the game they have one of the, like the supermodel scientist women, the ones that are just for sex appeal and stuff. But
brown chicken, brown cow.
Yeah, but to have like Dwayne Johnson in the role, well, talking about adaptations, but like when you're having that change, I really want to see that movie just to see how it is. But yeah, Rampage is one that's on my top list.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Silent Hill either, and that's another one where they changed the main lead.
Is this a new version of Silent Hill or
no? The old one. I haven't seen the first Silent Hill movie, and don't they have like 5 or something?
That's the one where the freaking what's his face Sean Bean is in that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they changed it to instead of like a father finding his daughter, it was a mother finding her daughter.
Maza.
Yeah, it was the Silent Hill. Wasn't it just called Silent Hill the movie? I think so. Or something along those lines. That's always a weird thing too. Whenever there's a title, the movie, like that's mainly for animated
Silent
shows.
Hill, the movie.
Whenever it's like Doug the movie, Rugrats the movie. Like whenever you have one of those underlying scores, it's almost like you're asking for a setup or something along those lines.
Yeah. So another very, very, very interesting movie that's coming out, a video game adaptation, The Witcher.
No, that's a TV series for Netflix, right?
No, I thought it was a movie.
I'm pretty sure, like, there was actually a little bit of controversy about that one, casting-wise, because, not Gerald,
or is it a movie that's being released on Netflix?
I know they said it was a series of sorts. It could be that there are multiple installments of a movie, but
Jesus, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a TV series. That and Castlevania, I was shocked that we're getting adaptations of all things, but they actually do have a lot of lore to them.
So for the Castlevania thing, you're talking about the animated one on Netflix, right?
Series, yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a great cast too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what do you think about the Witcher so far? It's being cast with Henry Cavill as it is a series. Holy balls.
The thing about it is when you're looking at an adaptation, most people would say, "Oh, Witcher, it's based off the video game." I would say that's true to a degree because it was first books.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Even the people who were making it were saying, okay, read the books first, and then most people are like, there are books about The Witcher. And even on the computer, if you look up the manual for The Witcher, for just the video game, not the book The Witcher, but the manual for the game, the first one, it's huge. Compared to other ones, it's like 4 or 5, 6 times the size of a normal one.
This was the manual you said?
Yeah, just the manual. And people would actually go back and read those for like quests and topics and things like that. And it is a very lore deep game. That was another thing too. There was going to be a Fallout movie a long time ago, but
that fell through. Yeah,
that fell through, and for good and bad reasons, mainly bad reasons. But that one would have definitely had been picked that day, mainly because it would have dealt with very uncomfortable issues. Like it would have had the idea of a man who's trying to escape a vault where I believe like most of the inhabitants are women who are trying to like I think it's that they want him to be their leader, but he just wants to leave, like he's claustrophobic or something. But on top of that too, video game movies just don't do well. I think the best example is like Mortal Kombat, the first one,
and that Mario movie.
That's
Super Mario Brothers.
That's
horrible. God, there's so many bad things on that movie. Not just on that movie, but on set too. Oh my God, that was just a fiasco.
If you look at if you want to see something worse, Have you ever seen the Futurama episode where the Nintendo characters or they're getting invaded by video game characters?
Really?
There's
this is Futurama?
Do you know the Pixels movie?
I didn't see it.
Anything about it? Okay.
Another bad concept.
Futurama did a pretty much same concept, practically with the same characters, and it was like much better than the Pixels movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a lot better. But yeah, I'd say 19 times out of 20 video games movies don't work well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and what was weird about it was I think the Doom movie was one of the movies that helped Dwayne Johnson get popular, but that was a bomb.
He was in Doom?
Yeah, he was in Doom. And I think they made a sequel to that one.
Was it? 2005.
But
Carl Urban, Rosamund Pike, and
now I remember
Johnson.
they made a zombie movie where they are on Mars, but a virus breaks out rather than demons. That's why most people were upset at it.
Oh.
And then...
So, of course, they butchered the source material.
Well, and the other thing about it, too, was... Did you ever see that movie Henry Danger or something like that where it's like a first-person perspective?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
So,
did you see that?
So that one was pretty good. I saw it a little bit with one of my friends. It's mainly... I see why it didn't do well, mainly because
Charlton Copley was one of the main characters in there. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Good cast. I would say, though, that the camera work made... Like, the choreography. That was a hard sell. Yeah. And I think a concept trailer would have been better, like him like putting on a helmet or putting on glasses and then seeing it from his perspective a bit would have helped trailer wise. But I thought it was pretty good. The only thing about those movies though is the reason I bring it up is Doom was originally like a normal movie where you see the characters third person, but then it shifts to first person. And you see it from the gun. And what's weird about it is the gun is being kind of held in the center. Like, it's being held by both arms, but it doesn't look natural. It looks like you just put a gun in a hand in front of a camera, which is kind of how the first Doom was, but for a movie it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. And that concept in general was really fascinating, I think. Mm-hmm. Just, obviously it's going to be extremely hard to really sell that.
What's the one genre I really want, the one film I wanted to see is I want to see a Civilization movie. Like, have you ever heard of those games? The Civilization series?
No. It's
like you take I wouldn't say the best era, but you take people from one era of history for each different nation, their best leaders, and then you have them go against each other and try to win either economic battles, wars, or cultural battles. And I like the idea of like Gandhi talking to Washington or Queen Elizabeth talking to what was the Montezuma, like odd things like that. But going back to films, yeah, there's the Mario movie from Illumination. Oh, just going to Illumination, that's a slippery slope. But there's the Mario movie and then the Sonic movie. I'm pretty sure are coming out next year.
I heard that like they had to redo the whole Sonic design because people got mad at it.
Oh, people were pissed, and that rightfully so, because the original design for that movie was horrendous and creepy as shit.
To give Cats a little bit of credit, and I'm not saying it's good, but to give it credit, the fan base wasn't necessarily mad with them. They were just shocked and
appalled.
Yeah, appalled, but they weren't mad. The Sonic community, the whole community, and they never get together.
The Sonic community was pissed.
Yeah.
The Cats community was flat out horrified. Seriously, you should have been on Twitter that day it came out. I'm just like, oh my god, these comments are hysterical and true.
And I watched The Last Jedi New Year's Day, and I've never seen a more polar fan base than that. I mean, there were people that either loved it or hated it, and I mean, for me, I just think that everything past the casino part is really hard to stomach. But there are so many fan bases out there that are either toxic, dangerous, or you got to be careful what you say.
Oh yeah,
but then
that's basically society nowadays.
Yeah, but there are those ones that can take a lot of punishment, and but then they do tend to give back. And what I find a little bit weird is, like, you can't really do it for war movies, like, Saving Private Ryan 2 or something like that. But when you have installments, it tends to be a little bit rewarding. Like, you get a little bit of goodwill just by making a sequel if it was good. If it's bad, you're working uphill, and that's a really, like, I wouldn't say it's bad, but the Zombieland 2 movie, you're kind of working uphill after a long drought.
Oh yeah.
Like, if that movie was made even 5 years ago, when was the first Zombieland movie? Wasn't that like early 2000s, like 2006, 2007, around there?
Please hold. It was 2009.
Oh man, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, 10 years ago.
Oh god.
That was the year I graduated, so yeah. Happy 10 year to me.
Got hit hard with nostalgia. I still remember when I saw
Bill freaking Murray.
Oh yeah, Bill Murray. Seeing that
was a great cameo.
That
was fantastic.
That's a great way. I think they're gonna have like Ryan Reynolds or something in the next movie, and then just kill him off or something like that.
They're probably gonna have another huge awesome cameo, and then they're probably gonna kill him off.
Oh, but that was probably one of his higher points in his career. But when you're looking at other actors now, like, who would you say are like the top 5 just in movies? Like, I'm not saying like the highest paid or something like that, but you see them most of the time in movies.
There's gotta be a couple.
I'd mainly say like actors like Scarlett Johansson, Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's in a lot that people don't give him credit for.
Robert Downey Jr.
He in recent years he's been in a couple of things, but like I wouldn't say like on average like that much. Jack Black has been in a ton recently.
Yeah. I'd say maybe Zach Galifianakis.
Zach Galifianakis has been in.
Oh, he's fantastic, by the way. Love him.
Who was I'm trying to think of the person from.
Who has been in a few pretty damn good movies the last couple years? Anya Taylor-Joy. She played the girl in Split and Glass. She reprises her role from Split and Glass.
Thank you, Samuel.
And then she was also the teenage girl in The Witch a couple years back in 2015. She was Morgan in 2016. She's been in Peaky Blinders a couple times. She's also one of the main actors in the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance series on Netflix right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would say her. She's also in Barry. I think that's the same Barry that Bill Hader is in. Nope, wrong one. My bad. Scrap that. But yeah, I would say Anya Taylor-Joy. She's done a lot of. She was in Vampire Academy. That actually looked pretty interesting too.
Oh, if you're going with voice actors though, I'd say like maybe top 3, like most common would be like Tara Strong.
She's huge in the voice
Frank
acting
Welker.
community. Yeah.
And Jim Cumming. I'd probably put those in my top 3, and then there's
Tom Kenny.
Yeah. Oh boy, he's been a lot even recently.
Maybe Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, that's another one too.
Yeah. Paul Rudd. He's got I think maybe a couple movies.
Oh, he's in the new Ghostbusters.
Really?
Yeah, he's going to be in the new one.
Yeah. Someone told me about that. I'm really excited too. Ghostbusters 2020. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's also in Living with Yourself. I didn't know that was a TV series. He's in Living with Yourself and on Netflix. Obviously in the Avengers movies, Ant-Man and the Wasp. He was in iZombie. He was in Mute. I love that movie. Directed by fucking Duncan Jones, David Bowie's son. So, and Duncan Jones I really love his stuff. Have you ever seen the movie Moon?
Oh, yeah.
Sam Rockwell plays the lead character in that, Sam Bell. That was a really fantastic, really trippy movie.
Okay, you brought up a really weird thing. There are some movies that have really obscure sequels, kind of diving into that. I'm not sure if that one does, but I know that 2001 had a sequel. And
wait, 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Yeah, it had a sequel, a lesser-known sequel. I can't remember the name, but pretty much it's like about... There's these... Okay, it's going to sound weird. You know the obelisk in the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
They're like over by Saturn or some planet like that, and there's a whole bunch of rings.
They're basically fucking off somewhere else.
Yeah. It's like
they're fucking off in the distance.
There's like about 3,000 of them, or in space, and they're trying to figure out what they are. And because of that, hey, let's investigate the gas planet. Uh-oh, trouble happens. It's one of those types of movies where it's like, you get into trouble. Almost not Event Horizon level, but I would look into that.
Yeah.
I think it's called, I think 3001 or no, it takes place, I think 20 years after.
Oh.
I think it's 2021 or something along those lines. It's like it takes place recently after the first movie, and they're searching for the last crew. That's what it was. They were searching for the last crew to see what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their own hell on board. That's what makes it interesting.
Ooh, okay. So, okay. I'll check that out one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check that one out, yeah. Oh, cool. So, real quick though, have you ever seen Moon?
I have, not all the way through, in a couple sittings.
I think you should definitely check it out. And then the movie Mute, which stars Alexander Skarsgård in the title character, Paul Rudd, and Justin Theroux. This is a very also futuristic movie and stuff. A mute bartender goes up against his city's gangsters in an effort to find out what happened to his missing partner. So this movie also takes place in the same world as Moon. And there's, spoiler alert, there's a little cameo-ish kind of shot of the Sam Bell character in Moon. So I thought that was really cool.
That'd be neat to see.
Yeah. All right, so that was the Miracosta Filmmakers podcast. I'm Kim.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Jessica.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.